Well, hey ladies and gents, welcome back to Miss Raga's Art Room. Well, as you can see, we have finished our pen and ink shading worksheet, and so we've started bringing these techniques to our picture. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Ooh. Oh, maybe I won't zoom. Hang on a second, let's try that again. Zoom, yay. Okay. So here's my lovely Dolly. There's Miss Dolly Parton, young Dolly Parton. I got a pretty good likeness. I may have made her face a little bit wider than she actually is, but did pretty good on the proportion and scale with my contour. Now it's time for me to start applying these pen and ink techniques. And I'm doing kind of a mixture of hatching, right, my solid shading in the dark areas, and stippling. What you're doing, ladies and gents, is you're following your contour outline shape here, okay, as you've drawn in pencil, and now you're applying the values you see in the photograph, whoop, to what you see happening in your picture. So for example, let's say I'm going to finish up what's happening in 33 here. I've got my dark value, right, that's right next to this solid black. And so I'm going to start by building up that dark concentrated value in that shape. I'm still following, now instead of just the shape of the shadow, I'm now filling in the value, right? So if this is a really concentrated area of shadow, really concentrated stipple dot. Now I personally, this is one of those personal things, I love stippling. But if you don't really have the patience for stippling, by all means, that's why we practice 3 other pen and ink techniques, or fine line shading, however you want to call it. I've heard it called both, okay? That you can use on your portrait, right? You can see I'm even using a combo, right, of the, for the hair, the hatching technique, because I think that really kind of almost mimics the hair texture, as well as the stipple for her face, for those smoother transitions on the skin tone. Right, so as I move into box 34 here, I'm going to finish off this darker edge and then get into the hair. And I'm looking for any subtlety of value I can see within the portrait. Let's zoom way in on the chin here in a second. Right, so we're just applying what we've learned on that worksheet now to our portrait. So for example, I'm looking at this chin area in box 27. There's a little subtle shading that happens on the cleft of the chin, right, and in this section here. So let's shuffle over so I can get both in screen, can I? Okay, darn close. Maybe I should go more this way. There we go. That should be pretty good. So I'm looking at this kind of light shading that's happening on the chin here, which we're going to apply to here. Now, as a reminder, ladies and gents, if you did some pre-shading, okay, on your portrait, you need to go back with a kneaded eraser, and you need to also, and this is like a very light value, so that's why I'm doing a very light value following the edge of her chin here. You need to also take your kneaded eraser and lighten up any pencil if you've pre-shaded these value shapes, because it can be very difficult for the pen to kind of stain the paper and go through that graphite if you've built up a heavy layer of it. So remember, a little extra direction. If you did some shading, you need to get in there with that kneaded eraser and pull some of that extra value out. So here I'm up in box 28, just adding some of those subtle little shade lines to her chin. You can see I'm starting to get that likeness happening there. And I'm going to continue on into where I see, let's say, let's go up to like box 10 here, where I can see this very dark shadow shape happening up in her hair. So what I might do is even start kind of like we did with the sphere. Start with a little bit of solid shading, right, because it's really, really heavy dark. But then I can see the edge of that shadow. Actually, it doesn't stay that heavy dark, does it? So what I'm going to do is at the edge of that solid shadow there from where her hair overlaps. Then I'm going to go into my more, just like we did with the sphere, fade into that edge and do my more concentrated dark value stipple, and then really let it fade at that edge. Right, so I'm looking for the subtle changes in value. I'm looking to, almost copy the values, if you will, directly from the photograph that I can find and try to match them as close as I can. And that's what's going to make my celebrity, right, look a lot like my celebrity. And she's got this kind of shadow line that continues down into 16, 17, and even up into the edge of her hair at 17. Right, and the more of those details you can observe, the more your celebrity is going to look like your celebrity. Okay, ladies and gents, so I'm going to put way more work into this celebrity portrait here. And I will be back with you towards the finishing stages to talk about how we're going to finish up our portrait and pick out our presentation paper. All right, thanks for joining me in Miss Raga's Art Room today, and I'll see you again real soon.